Over the last couple of years, I've tested out a lot of controllers, and now I've been able to put together my top 5 controllers for Xbox consoles. These are controllers that are officially licensed and supported by Xbox. This does not include any controllers that you can use with some sort of converter or adapter that isn't officially licensed by Microsoft. Let's get right into it. Coming in at number 5 is the PowerA Fusion Pro 4. I tested this controller a little while back and it offered some really good features. 4 remappable buttons on the back, Hall effect sticks, adjustable heights on the joystick caps themselves. For the money, this controller seemed like a very good option. But one thing about PowerA controllers is that I am yet to test one out that doesn't feel a little bit on the cheap side. The PowerA Fusion Pro 4 just had that low quality feel, low quality plastics. Things didn't fit together quite as nice as they do on other controllers. Additionally, I didn't quite find the Hall effect sticks to be as tuned quite nicely for FPS games. For most other games, they'll be perfectly fine, but when I was playing Call of Duty with it on a competitive level, they just weren't quite as good as some of the Hall effect sticks that I've tried. And I wasn't the biggest fan of the way that they decided to do the height adjustable thumbsticks. You basically twist it up and it sits on a different level each time and it's held down by a spring. But when you got it up to that top level, it just felt unstable and it felt cheap. And it didn't help the fact that the Hall effect sticks themselves, the actual joystick modules, didn't feel the most accurate and precise to begin with. But other than that, it's still a pretty good option that you could go for today. But coming in at number 4 is the Elite Series 2. Had this controller for well over a year. I originally got it back in December 2023. Offers an amazing feature set and officially made by Microsoft, not just officially licensed, but made by Microsoft for Xbox consoles. This is a very popular option for a lot of people. Still, I know a lot of people using these controllers today, even on a competitive level. Trigger stops, great joystick accuracy and precision, a great feeling controller, 4 remappable paddles on the back, and a very extensive set of customization options in the software, not to mention totally wireless with an extremely good battery life, probably the best battery life I've ever experienced in a controller. But a couple of things that let the Elite Series 2 down are its durability over time. A lot of people report the bumpers having issues, the joysticks getting stick drift, and also some other areas of the controller that fail after a few months as well. It just depends, I guess, how you take care of it. On top of that, the input latency is beyond anything that we've tested within the last year or two, with only a polling rate of 125 Hz, whether you're using it wired, wireless, PC, console, it doesn't matter. The input latency is definitely something that's letting it down. It doesn't make the controller completely unusable, but I definitely felt like it was holding me back in some applications. Not to mention the price tag of it. Because of its durability issues, it is technically classed as poor value for money, but still with the features that it offers, it's still a good option. And if you take good care of it, Microsoft's warranty should pull you out of the sand should anything go wrong in the first 6 months. Taking third place on my list though is more popular option, the Razer Wolverine V3 Tournament Edition. I'm including the Tournament Edition on this one because it's the only one I've tested. I've not tested the Pro. But the Tournament Edition is wired only, but does support 1000 Hz on PC, has Hall effect sticks, and has 6 remappable buttons, 4 on the back and 2 on the top next to the bumpers. The micro switches on the D-pad and the face buttons are excellent as well. To be honest, this is one of the best performing controllers I've ever tested. But my issues with this controller start with the value for money. To say that it's a wired only controller and doesn't really offer anything above anything else in its price range and even below its price range, $100 for this controller is definitely too much. Additionally, the shape, feel, ergonomics of the controller is something I didn't get along with, and a lot of people don't as well. You may be willing to adjust to it and it may be fine, but that kind of weird banana shape that it's got going on definitely doesn't feel comfortable right at first and will take a while to get used to, especially if standard Xbox shaped controllers is what you're used to. But the rear buttons were extremely responsive, the controller felt excellent in build quality, and especially on 1000 Hz on PC, the performance was more than you'll ever need. Not to mention the Mecha Tactile triggers, which are definitely ideal in FPS games. Coming in at number 2 though, is an option that's much better value for money, and that's the GameSir G7HE. With a 1000 Hz option, Hall effect sticks, so you're not going to get stick drift, and micro switch D-pad and face buttons. This controller has so much to offer, especially for its price range. You can find it most of the time around $40 or $45, sometimes even less. It doesn't sacrifice any function of the original Xbox controller, so you've still got the share button, you've still got the profiles and everything else. You can do auto sign in, and it's officially licensed by Microsoft. And another great feature of the GameSir G7HE are those rapid adaptive hair triggers. Not only are they a very short reach before they activate, they are very, very quick, but also they deactivate as soon as you release the pressure from the trigger. You don't have to wait for it to go all the way to the top. So the G7HE has some of the best triggers, although you won't find any trigger stop or instant triggers, such as like a mouse click switch behind there. But as a wired option, it's responsive and it's reliable for the money. The build quality feels amazing as well. I've been using the G7HE for at least 6 months now and never had any issues with it. Additionally, you can pretty much put whatever thumbstick caps you want on this thing as well with the removable faceplate. And you've probably heard already, a lot of people are very, very happy with their G7HEs. But that brings us to number 1 on my list, and this is my go-to controller whenever I do play on Xbox. I will confidently pick this up every single time, no matter what scenario, no matter what game, even competitive Call of Duty, something that's not going to hold me back. The GameSir G7 SE is by far one of the best controllers I've ever used. Offers pretty much exactly the same features as the HE, but I find the controller just to be a little bit better. And the reason for it is because instead of having micro switch D-pads and face buttons, it has membrane buttons. And a lot of other people have agreed with me that the membrane buttons just feel a little bit more natural. They feel a little bit easier to press as well. The thing with the G7HE is that the buttons just feel a little bit too hard to press, especially the D-pad. It does require quite a bit of force to activate those switches. The G7 SE doesn't require anywhere near as much and just feels much more natural, but it still has a nice snappy response. Doesn't have that rubber textured grip on the back like the HE as well, which is a bit of a letdown, but you can go on Amazon and get some stick-on adhesive rubber grip tape anyway for it that's pre-cut, just like I've got on my own. And that really does make the controller the complete package. 1000 Hz, super low latency, even on Xbox at 250 Hz. It's still better than picking up any official Microsoft controller that's only at 125 Hz anyway. And again, I've had this controller and been using it for about 8 months now. I've put well over 500 hours into it. Not a single issue, failure, or anything. It's been absolutely the most reliable controller I've ever used so far. And it's one that I very highly recommend. And I'm looking forward to the G7 Pro as soon as GameSir do manage to start getting those out. If you do have any questions about any of the controllers that I've mentioned, or you'd like a link to my full review of each controller, let me know down in the comments. And if you want to keep an eye out for any of my future controller reviews, we've got a lot coming up, then go ahead and hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss an upload. If you want to check out my gaming channel, we are live every single week, at least twice a week, for a minimum of 5 hours. I'll pop a link to that so you can head right over with the click of a button. All the controllers that I've mentioned in this video are officially licensed for Xbox consoles, but if you are a PC gamer, I am going to be doing my top 5 PC controllers very, very shortly. If you want to see that, drop the video a like. I always appreciate it. But that's it from me today. We'll catch you in the next one. Ciao.